What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest movie stars sits down on a live daytime talk show and a simple promotional interview turns into an unexpectedly heated debate? What happens when personalities clash, opinions collide, and no one backs down? That's exactly what we're diving into today. Make sure to subscribe to EchoStars and like and comment for more talk show coverage. The cameras roll, the audience is clapping, and the energy feels upbeat. The hosts are seated around the table, smiling, shuffling their notes. Whoopi leans forward with that familiar calm presence she carries, and the co-hosts are already buzzing because this is a big booking. Tom Cruise walks out to loud applause. He waves, gives a quick handshake to a couple of hosts, and sits down. Whoopi smiles. Tom Cruise is here, everybody. Welcome back. Tom nods. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. Joy jumps in immediately. You've been everywhere lately. I don't think you sleep. Tom laughs lightly. I sleep. Just not much. Audience chuckles. Sunny leans in. We've got to start with the new film. The stunts. You're still doing everything yourself. Tom smiles. I've always believed if you're going to ask the audience to believe something, you've got to commit fully. So yeah, I train hard, and I do the work. The tone is friendly. Whoopi nods. You've always been that guy. You hang off planes, jump off cliffs, and somehow you're still in one piece. Tom laughs. So far. Alyssa adds, but people genuinely worry about you. Tom shrugs slightly. I respect that. But I love filmmaking. I love what I do. The conversation flows smoothly for a few minutes. Training regimens, preparation, the discipline it takes to stay in shape in your 60s. The audience applauds when Tom talks about pushing limits and respecting the craft. Then Whoopi shifts slightly in her chair. You know, she says, every time you come on, we talk about the physical stuff. But I want to ask you something a little deeper. Tom nods cautiously. Sure. You've been very vocal over the years about your beliefs and certain public stances, Whoopi continues. And sometimes those opinions have sparked controversy. Do you ever look back and think maybe some of those public moments could have been handled differently? There's a subtle shift in the room. It's not hostile yet, just heavier. Tom's smile tightens just a bit. I've always tried to speak honestly. Sometimes when you're passionate, it doesn't always come across the way you intend. Joy jumps in. That's one way to put it. A few audience members laugh nervously. Tom glances toward Joy. Well, I think it's important to stand by what you believe. Sunny interjects. Standing by something is one thing. But when you're influencing millions of people, don't you think there's a responsibility to be cautious? Tom straightens slightly. I absolutely believe in responsibility. I've always said people should educate themselves and make their own decisions. Whoopi watches closely. But you understand why some people felt your past comments were dismissive of others' experiences. Tom pauses. If someone felt dismissed, that was never my intention. Joy tilts her head. But intention isn't always impact. Audience murmurs. A few claps. Tom nods slowly. I agree. And I've grown. I think we all grow. Alyssa tries to lighten it. Growth is good. We like growth. Laughter breaks some tension. But Whoopi isn't done. Let's talk about that growth. Because you're one of the most powerful actors in Hollywood. You can choose your projects. You can choose your words. So when you speak strongly on something controversial, it carries weight. Tom leans forward now. I understand that. Whoopi continues, calm but firm. So when you've had moments in the past that critics called insensitive or overly aggressive, do you think the platform amplified that? Tom exhales. Look, live television moments from 20 years ago don't define who I am today. Joy quickly says, but they are part of the story. Tom's jaw tightens slightly. Sure, but we all have moments we'd handle differently. Sunny presses. So you would handle them differently. Tom hesitates. I would approach conversations with more patience. There's a beat. Whoopi nods slowly. That's fair. Audience claps lightly. For a moment, it feels like it might settle there. But then Joy, never one to let a topic go, says, but patience isn't the same as admitting you were wrong. The audience reacts, a few ohs. Tom turns toward Joy. I don't think this is about right or wrong. It's about perspective. Joy raises an eyebrow. Perspective is convenient. Sunny nods slightly. When you say perspective, some people hear deflection. Tom's voice remains steady but firmer. I'm not deflecting. I'm saying I've always spoken from my experience and my beliefs. Whoopi folds her hands. But sometimes when you're on a platform this big, your experience isn't the only one in the room. Tom's expression shifts, still controlled, but more guarded now. I respect that. But I also won't apologize for having convictions. The audience gives mixed reactions. Some applause, some murmurs. Alyssa quickly adds, "No one's asking you not to have convictions." Joy counters, "We're asking if you recognize harm." Tom looks directly at her. "I don't believe I harmed anyone." The air tightens. Whoopi leans in. "You don't think words can harm?" Tom responds carefully. "Words can be misinterpreted." There's a ripple through the audience. Sunny shakes her head slightly. Misinterpreted or misunderstood? Tom's tone grows sharper, just slightly. Sometimes both. The room feels different now. The earlier laughter is gone. Even the audience seems unsure when to clap. Whoopi keeps her voice measured. "Let me ask you plainly. Do you regret any of the public clashes you've had over your beliefs?" Tom pauses longer this time. "I regret if people felt hurt. But I don't regret standing up for what I believed." Joy whispers under her breath, audible enough. "There it is." Tom turns toward her. "I'm sorry." Joy looks directly at him. "That's not really accountability." The audience reacts again, louder this time. Tom's posture stiffens. "I think accountability means owning your actions. And I've always owned mine." Sunny leans in. "But ownership also means acknowledging consequences." Tom responds, "And I just said I regret if anyone felt hurt." Whoopi tilts her head. "But you're still framing it as their feeling, not your action." There's a long pause. Tom's smile is gone now. "Are we here to talk about my film, or are we here to relitigate 20-year-old headlines?" Audience gasps lightly. Whoopi stays composed. "We're here to have honest conversation." Tom nods once. "And I'm being honest." Joy crosses her arms. It feels rehearsed. The tension is no longer subtle. It's real. The energy has shifted completely from light promotion to pointed debate. Tom looks around the table. "I came here to talk about the work. I'm proud of the work. I'm proud of my team." Sunny responds, "And we respect that. But public figures don't get to separate their work from their words." Tom replies, voice steady but clearly strained, "I don't separate them. But I also don't live in the past." The audience is divided, scattered applause, scattered murmurs. Whoopi leans back slightly, studying him. "No one's asking you to live there. We're asking you to reflect." Tom holds her gaze. And the room goes very quiet. The silence hangs for a few seconds longer than anyone expects. You can feel it in the room, that live TV pause where no one wants to be the first to blink. Tom finally breaks it. "I have reflected," he says, looking directly at Whoopi. "More than people realize." Whoopi nods slowly. "Okay, then let's talk about that reflection." Joy shifts in her seat. "Because from the outside, it looks like you double down." A few claps from the audience. Not overwhelming, but noticeable. Tom turns toward Joy. "I don't double down. I stay consistent." Sunny leans forward. "Consistency can be admirable. But it can also mean you're not listening." Tom's tone sharpens slightly. "I listen. I've listened for decades." Alyssa tries to soften it. "Tom, I think what people are trying to understand is whether you see how powerful your voice is. When you speak strongly about certain topics, it doesn't just stay in Hollywood, it influences households." Tom exhales slowly. "I'm very aware of that. And I don't take it lightly." Joy responds quickly. "But do you take responsibility for it?" Tom pauses. "Yes." Whoopi raises an eyebrow. "In what way?" Tom hesitates for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "In the way that I try to live with integrity. I try to do the work. I try to help people through the projects I choose. I try to be disciplined in my life." Sunny gently interrupts. "That's personal integrity. We're talking about public accountability." The audience murmurs again. Tom leans back slightly. "It feels like you're asking me to apologize for having opinions." Whoopi shakes her head. "No. We're asking if you can acknowledge that some of those opinions were delivered in a way that felt dismissive or combative." Tom looks down briefly, then back up. "I've already said I would approach some conversations with more patience." Joy quickly says, "That's not the same thing." Tom's voice rises just a fraction. "What exactly do you want me to say?" The audience reacts, louder this time. Whoopi stays calm. "We're not putting words in your mouth." Tom responds, "It feels like it." Sunny says firmly, "No, it feels like you're uncomfortable." Tom turns to her. Of course I'm uncomfortable. This isn't exactly a friendly conversation. Joy interjects. It's not supposed to be hostile either. Tom replies. It feels hostile. A mix of gasps and applause from the audience. Whoopi lifts her hand slightly. Let's slow it down. No one here is attacking you. Tom gives a tight smile. When you question someone's character on national television, it can feel like that. Sunny responds immediately. We're questioning actions, not character. Tom nods slowly. But you're implying something deeper. Joy leans in. If there's nothing deeper, then why are you so defensive? That lands hard. The audience reacts again, this time with louder murmurs, a few audible "oh" sounds. Tom sits forward now, elbows on the table. Because for 20 years, people bring up the same moments as if they define my entire life. Whoopi replies calmly, because those moments were loud. Tom says, so were a lot of positive ones. Alyssa nods. That's fair. Sunny continues, but the negative ones shaped public perception. Tom's tone grows firmer. Public perception isn't always accurate. Joy shoots back, but it's real. Tom looks directly at her. It's constructed. The audience splits, some applause, some disagreement. Whoopi studies him again. So you think the criticism was manufactured? Tom shakes his head. Not manufactured. Amplified. Sunny says, amplified because people were concerned. Tom responds quickly, or because controversy sells. That draws a reaction from the crowd, a louder mix of applause and murmurs. Joy crosses her arms again. So now the media is the villain. Tom replies, I didn't say that. Joy says, you implied it. Tom sighs audibly. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Whoopi raises her voice slightly for the first time. Tom, nobody here is trying to trap you. Tom responds, his voice now clearly strained. It feels like every answer I give isn't enough. Sunny says, because you're circling the issue. Tom turns to her. No, I'm not. Sunny replies, you are. The overlap of voices causes the audience to react again. Some clapping, some uneasy laughter. Alyssa tries again to de-escalate. Maybe we should clarify what the core question is. Whoopi nods. The core question is simple. Do you believe you've ever been wrong in how you publicly handled those debates? Tom freezes for a second. The room goes quiet again. He finally answers, I believe I was passionate. Joy immediately says, that's not what she asked. The audience reacts, louder this time. Tom's patience appears thinner now. Passion can look like anger. Sunny responds, and anger can hurt people. Tom replies, so can misrepresentation. Whoopi leans forward. Are you saying we're misrepresenting you right now? Tom looks directly at her. I think the framing is skewed. Joy laughs slightly. It's always the framing. Tom's voice rises noticeably. You keep trying to box me into a confession. Sunny says firmly, no, we're asking for clarity. Tom replies, I've given clarity. Whoopi shakes her head slightly. You've given explanations. Tom's jaw tightens. What's the difference? Whoopi responds, steady and calm. An explanation tells us why you did something. Accountability tells us you understand the impact. The audience claps, louder and more unified this time. Tom glances out toward the crowd, then back at the table. I understand impact. Joy says, then say it plainly. Tom leans back, visibly frustrated now. I'm not going to perform remorse for you. The audience gasps. A wave of sound fills the studio. Whoopi's expression changes. Nobody asked you to perform. Tom responds, that's exactly what this feels like. Sunny says sharply, so now this is theater. Tom gestures lightly around the set. It's television. The tension spikes again. Joy shakes her head. Wow. Whoopi raises her hand again, trying to keep control of the table. Tom, we invited you here for conversation. Tom responds, conversation goes both ways. Sunny replies, it does. But it also requires vulnerability. Tom's voice drops slightly but remains firm. Vulnerability doesn't mean surrender. There's a pause. Whoopi says, no one's asking you to surrender. We're asking you to reflect openly. Tom looks at her for a long moment. Then he says quietly, I have nothing to apologize for. The audience reaction is immediate. Some applause, some audible disagreement, a ripple of tension spreading through the room. Joy leans back in her chair. Well, that's clear. Sunny exhales. That answers the question. Whoopi's face remains composed, but the warmth from earlier is gone. It does. Tom sits there, shoulders squared, gaze steady. The atmosphere is no longer just tense, it's brittle. Every word now feels like it could tip the balance further. And you can sense something is about to give. The studio feels different now. The air is heavier, like everyone's waiting for the next sentence to decide how this moment will be remembered. Tom sits upright, hands clasped together on the table. Whoopi looks at him steadily, not angry, but firm. The audience is quiet, unusually quiet for a daytime show. Whoopi speaks first. Okay, so you're saying you have nothing to apologize for. Tom nods once. That's what I'm saying. Sunny leans in. Not even for the way certain conversations were handled. Tom responds quickly. I've already said I would approach things with more patience. Joy shakes her head. But patience isn't remorse. Tom turns to her. Why is remorse the goal? The audience murmurs again. Joy answers, because when people feel dismissed or invalidated, sometimes remorse matters. Tom replies, his voice tighter now. But you're assuming I dismissed anyone. Sunny interjects. We're not assuming. We're reacting to what people saw. Tom gestures lightly with his hands. People saw clips. Headlines. Sound bites. Whoopi says calmly, people saw you. That lands hard. Tom pauses. They saw a moment. Whoopi responds, moments matter. A ripple of applause from the audience. Tom exhales through his nose, clearly frustrated. So does context. Sunny says, then give us the context. Tom's jaw tightens. The context was that I cared deeply about what I was discussing. Joy responds, caring deeply doesn't mean you were right. Tom turns toward her. I didn't say it did. Joy shoots back, but you're not saying you were wrong either. Tom's voice rises slightly. Because I don't believe I was. The audience reacts, louder this time, a mix of claps and gasps. Whoopi raises her hand again. Let's keep this respectful. Tom nods. I am being respectful. Sunny replies, it doesn't feel that way. Tom looks directly at her. Respect isn't agreement. Sunny says firmly, no, but tone matters. Tom responds, and tone can be subjective. Joy laughs dryly. Everything's subjective today. A few audience members laugh nervously. Whoopi leans forward, elbows on the table. Tom, I'm going to ask you something directly. Do you think you've ever let ego drive a public moment? The question hangs in the air. Tom blinks. Ego. Whoopi nods. Yes, ego. Tom shakes his head slowly. No, that answer comes quickly. Maybe too quickly. The audience reacts, not loudly, but noticeably. Sunny says, not once. Tom replies, I'm human. Of course I have an ego. But I don't think that's what drove those conversations. Joy raises an eyebrow. So what did? Tom answers, conviction. Joy counters. Sometimes ego disguises itself as conviction. The audience reacts with a louder oh. Tom's posture stiffens again. I disagree. Whoopi watches him carefully. You don't think there's a possibility that part of what made those moments so intense was pride? Tom's voice is steady but firmer now. No. I think what made them intense was disagreement. Sunny says, but disagreement doesn't always escalate the way yours did. Tom turns to her. I won't apologize for defending what I believe. Joy replies sharply. You keep saying that. Nobody is asking you to stop believing. Tom's tone rises. But you are asking me to label myself wrong. Whoopi answers calmly. We're asking you to reflect. Tom leans back in his chair, clearly frustrated. I have reflected. Off camera. In private. With people who actually know me. Sunny says, and what did those people say? Tom responds, that I was passionate. Joy shakes her head again. There it is. Tom looks at her directly. Why is that word bothering you so much? Joy replies, because it sounds like a shield. The audience reacts again. Tom's patience seems to thin further. It's not a shield. It's the truth. Sunny says, your truth. Tom responds immediately, yes. My truth. Whoopi tilts her head. But when your truth dismisses someone else's lived experience, Tom cuts in, talking over her slightly. I never dismissed anyone's lived experience. The overlap causes a stir in the audience. Whoopi speaks louder now. Let me finish. Tom stops, but his expression is tight. Whoopi continues. When your truth clashes with someone else's reality, sometimes the way you communicate matters more than the belief itself. Tom replies, so now it's about delivery. Sunny answers, it's always about delivery. Tom laughs, but it's not a light laugh. It's strained. This feels like a trial. Joy responds immediately, it's a conversation. Tom says, it doesn't feel like one. Sunny says, because you're not used to being challenged. That sentence shifts everything. The audience reacts loudly, clapping, gasps, scattered cheers. Tom's eyes widen slightly. I'm not used to being challenged. Sunny holds her ground. Not in this format. Tom leans forward. I've been challenged my entire career. Joy replies, by critics. Not like this. Tom's voice rises more noticeably now. What does that even mean? Whoopi steps in. It means sometimes when you're at the top, people don't push back. Tom shakes his head. That's not true. Sunny says, isn't it? Tom responds. No. Joy crosses her arms again. You seem very uncomfortable right now. Tom's voice is tight. Because this isn't balanced. Whoopi says, balanced how? Tom gestures around the table. 4 against 1. The audience gasps again. Sunny replies, we're asking questions. Tom answers, and dismissing every answer. Joy says, because you're not answering. Tom's frustration is no longer subtle. I am answering. His voice echoes slightly in the studio. There's a collective intake of breath. From the audience. Whoopi looks at him calmly but firmly. Lower your voice. Tom pauses. Realizes. Nods once. Fine, he says, quieter but still tense. I'm answering honestly. Sunny responds. Honesty without reflection can sound defensive. Tom exhales sharply. This is unbelievable. Joy says, what's unbelievable? Tom pushes his chair back slightly, not standing yet, but enough that the movement is noticeable. The audience reacts immediately. Tom says, I came here to talk about work. About filmmaking. About art. Whoopi answers, and we shifted to something deeper. Tom replies, you shifted to an interrogation. Sunny says, no one subpoenaed you. Some nervous laughter from the audience. Tom shakes his head. You're twisting everything I say. Joy responds, or maybe you just don't like how it sounds. Tom stands up. It's not dramatic. It's not explosive. It's controlled, but it's clear. The audience gasps loudly. Whoopi looks up at him. Tom. Tom adjusts his jacket slightly. I respect you. All of you. But this isn't productive. Sunny says, sitting down and finishing the conversation would be productive. Tom responds, when it's a conversation. Joy says under her breath, wow. Whoopi keeps her voice steady. If you walk off, that says something too. Tom looks at her. There's a long pause. The entire studio is silent. And for a moment, it's unclear whether he's about to sit back down or walk away. The room is completely still. Tom stands there for a long second, looking at Whoopi, then at the rest of the table. The audience isn't clapping now. No murmurs. Just silence. Whoopi speaks first, her voice calm but firm. If you walk off, that says something too. Tom exhales slowly. And if I stay, what does that say? Sunny responds, that you're willing to engage. Tom shakes his head slightly. Engage or be cornered. Joy mutters, nobody cornered you. Tom looks at her. It feels that way. Whoopi keeps her tone measured. We ask tough questions here. That's not new. Tom replies, there's tough, and then there's stacked. The audience reacts quietly at that word. Alyssa finally jumps in, her voice softer than the others. Tom, maybe this just got heated. That happens. It's live television. Tom looks at her, then back at Whoopi. I respect tough conversations. I don't respect being told I can't stand by my beliefs unless I phrase them the way you want. Sunny responds quickly. Nobody told you that. Tom says, that's what it feels like. Whoopi leans back slightly. Feelings go both ways. There's a pause. Tom glances toward the audience, hundreds of eyes staring back. Cameras rolling. Boom mics hovering above. He nods once. I've said what I came to say. Joy replies, have you? That's the final spark. Tom gives a tight smile that doesn't reach his eyes. Thank you for having me. And he turns. The audience gasps, louder than any reaction so far. A few people clap awkwardly, unsure whether they are supporting him or just reacting to the shock of it. Whoopi watches him walk toward the side of the stage. She doesn't chase him verbally. She doesn't raise her voice. She simply says, okay. Tom disappears past the curtain. The studio is buzzing now, whispers, scattered applause, some audible wow comments from the crowd. Joy breaks the silence first. Well, a few nervous laughs ripple through the audience. Sunny exhales. That escalated. Whoopi folds her hands on the table. Live television. Alyssa shakes her head slightly. I don't think anyone expected that. Joy responds, if you can't handle pushback, don't come to a table like this. That line gets applause, louder and more unified. Sunny adds, conversations about accountability are uncomfortable. But they matter. Whoopi nods slowly. Nobody's career is defined by one moment. But how you respond to questions says a lot. The audience claps again. A producer's voice is faintly heard off camera, and the host shifts slightly, clearly being guided toward a break. Whoopi looks into the camera. We're going to take a quick break. The audience applauds automatically as the show cuts to commercial. But backstage, things are moving quickly. According to staff later, Tom didn't storm out yelling. He didn't slam anything. He walked straight to his team, spoke briefly, and left the building within minutes. His publicist declined to comment to reporters waiting outside. Inside the studio, during the commercial break, the hosts reportedly had a quick off-air discussion. No shouting. No chaos. Just that stunned, post-moment processing. When the show returns from commercial, Whoopi addresses it calmly. For those just tuning in, she says, our conversation with Tom Cruise ended earlier than expected. We wish him well. That's it. No extra commentary. No dragging it out. But by the time the show ends, social media is already on fire. Clips of the exchange hit platforms within minutes. The moment Sunny said, because you're not used to being challenged. The second Tom said, 4 against 1. The instant he stood up. On X, hashtags start trending within the hour. #Tom Cruise walkout, #view clash, #4 against 1. Some users defend Tom, saying he was ambushed during what was supposed to be a promotional appearance. Others argue that public figures should be ready for difficult conversations, especially on a show known for debate. Entertainment outlets post headlines almost immediately. Tom Cruise walks off mid-interview. Tense exchange turns heated. Did the view go too far? By evening, reaction videos are everywhere. Body language experts break down the moment he stood. Commentators analyze Whoopi's tone. Fans dissect every facial expression. Some celebrities subtly weigh in. A few post about respecting artists' boundaries. Others tweet about accountability and the importance of tough conversations. The next morning, the story leads multiple entertainment segments. Short clips replay the exact moment he says, I'm not going to perform remorse for you. That phrase becomes the centerpiece of the debate. Was he refusing to be pressured? Or refusing to take responsibility? The network releases a short statement. The View is committed to open and honest dialogue. We appreciate all guests who join the table. Tom's team eventually issues a brief comment through a spokesperson. Tom values respectful conversation and stands by his commitment to his work and his beliefs. No apology. No escalation. Behind the scenes, insiders suggest there was no ban issued, no permanent fallout, just tension. Real, unscripted tension. And that's what makes moments like this powerful. It wasn't yelling. It wasn't chaos. It was disagreement that kept building until one side decided they'd had enough. Back on the show the following week, Joy references it briefly. We survived, she jokes. The audience laughs. Whoopi adds, we're still here. And they move on. But viewers don't. The clip continues circulating. Comment sections are divided. Some say Tom protected his dignity. Others say he avoided a necessary conversation. And that's the thing about live talk shows. They are unpredictable. They are unscripted. They are real in the moment. One shift in tone, one pointed question, one sentence that lands a little too hard, and suddenly you're watching something that wasn't planned, rehearsed, or polished. You're watching people react. Whether you agree with Tom or the hosts, there's no denying it was raw. It felt unscripted because it was. It felt tense because it became tense. And once that energy shifts on live television, there's no editing it away. Now we want to hear from you. Was Tom Cruise justified in walking off? Did the hosts push too hard? Or was this exactly the kind of accountability conversation daytime television should have? Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to EchoStars for more real talk show stories.